Welcome to emoLab's Talk Series podcast, where we explore how technology shapes our lives. From digital consumers to gig workers and service robots, we delve into the world of algorithms, AI, and automation, examining how they transform our emotions, behaviors, and businesses. In each episode, we bring you thought-provoking conversations on the impacts of algorithmic capitalism and how to navigate a future increasingly dominated by machines. Join us for insights into who benefits, who's left out, and what it all means for the future.
Today, we are excited to have Professor Julien Clorec with us, a leading expert in AI and digital strategy to explore leveraging large language models for semi-automated generation of social media content. Julien will introduce a powerful framework combining large language models and neural topic models, showing how marketers can streamline content creation while staying creative, strategic, and on-brand. He will cover tools like BERT topic, semi-automated workflows, and the vital role of human oversight in AI-driven content. This talk reflects the emoLab's missions, critically examining how AI and automation are transferring marketing systems in the age of algorithmic capitalism. So let's dive in, and please welcome Professor Julien Clorec.
Thank you very much, Professor Lagent, for the invitation. Thank you for the introduction as well. So this seminar will be twofold. First, a main introduction regarding the main principles of AI use, and when we talk about AI LLM use, and then something more concrete with an example of mine, a current research project with a master student. So for this first part, which is kind of provocative, generative AI, why you haven't yet mastered its use. So what is it about? So I want to have an overview of the current situation. When we talk about AI, what are we talking about really? So here you have the Google Trends in France. It's based in a French search on Google. And when we look at the AI keyword, we see that for a very long time, the general public didn't really care about AI, okay? And we see that at the end of 2022, we have the rise in AI interest. But what specific AI are we talking about at the end of 2022? So of course, it's about ChatGPT release. And when we look at the keywords associated to AI search, we see that it's about DALL-E, Midjourney, ChatGPT. So it's not AI in general, it's generative AI. And specifically, it's chatbot-based generative AI. So really, when we talk about AI, the general public think only about something that is very, very, very narrow. It's really chatbot-based generative AI. And so we have currently in the AI landscape lots and lots of solutions to generate text, to generate images, to generate videos, etc., etc. And I want to go beyond the purely LinkedIn post created by complete crackpots in AI. What's really the goal of generative AI? Let's be more specific. So here, when we try to talk about generative AI, marketers, they're using that to create some content. So here it's an advertising for Chamonix, which is a very well-known ski station in France. And you see here, connect to the nature, these kind of things. That's awesome. And when you look at the bottom right of the picture, it's an image generated by AI, and the human beings are using it to make the nature more awesome. But this was a bad buzz at the time. Nature doesn't need AI to be amplified, to be more beautiful. So here, using AI is not just a tool, but it's also part of a more global communication strategy. That's when it's done manually. And when AI is done kind of automatically, you have several chatbots currently that are LLM powered. Here it's about a trivia on Air Canada. Air Canada, they have a chatbot. And a customer interacted with the Air Canada chatbot. And what happened is that at the end of the interaction, the chatbot promised a voucher for the customers. What is it about? So a customer of Air Canada, his grandmother died, so he had to attend the funeral. And sometimes on some policies, if you need to attend funerals, you can have a voucher for a late minute ticket booking. And the chatbot said, yes, indeed, if you send us the tickets afterwards, you can get a voucher. And the thing is that the customer fly to the funeral, then came back and applied for this voucher. The thing is that marketers say, no, no, this is contrary to our policies. So here you have dual information. The chatbot provided an information, but it was contrary to the policies. So of course the customer went to court and he won, because anything a chatbot says, the company is responsible for it. So you see here, whether it's manually done or automatically done, we have some issues with the use of LLM-based solutions. So what's the big picture behind this misuse of generative AI? The fact that, globally speaking, it's a chatbot-based interface. So historically, when we look at generative AI, I used to teach GPT-2 in Python, and GPT-2 was released in 2019. So you see, it's nothing new. But at the time, nobody cared because it was Python-based. We need to write some code. Even though it did the same thing as it's doing today, nobody cared, the students, the colleagues, etc. Then we add, in the meantime, between the Python code and this current interface, we had what we call the playground, the GPT playground. And it was like a notepad interface, which also kind of was too limited in the sense that customers, the users, think that it was not intuitive enough. And now we have a chatbot interface, which is not a chatbot, by the way. It's just still the machine auto-completing what we are writing. But it's the trick. With this trick, now people think that they are interacting with an AI, when in fact it's not interacting at all with an AI. But this trick to have a chatbot interface is a limitation in its use directly. Here we have a lack of integration. For each task, you need to go back to the chatbot interface and to rewrite the prompt, or even to create your customized GPTs, which are just also prompt-based interactions. So here it's for marketers, for businesses, it's really a limitation to have a chatbot interface. Second thing, even though you know about prompt engineering, whether it's pure bullshit or not, it is pure bullshit. But when you look at a LinkedIn post, oh, here are the 10 tricks to write the best prompt. So prompt engineering was completely useless, and it's even more useless based on the reasoning model that we have currently. Okay, the O1 model series, the O1 by DeepSeek. So prompt engineering was dead, and it's completely dead nowadays. So even though you try to have the best prompt ever, anyway, you will get general results, very generic results. So when we talk about generative AI, we mainly talk about pre-trained AI. So in ChatGPT, the P in GPT is about pre-trained model. Okay, so down here, they have some potential, but they are too generic. So even you try to prompt the AI, the results would be generic. So no added values, okay? If you know how to prompt an AI, in the end, you will have generic results. So what you have to do is to fine-tune an LLM. You need to specialize an LLM for a given task. And this is called training fine-tuning. Also, when we see lots of LinkedIn posts, webinars, it's mainly about closed source models, okay? ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude by Anthropic, etc. The thing is that when you use this kind of closed source AI, all the information that you write in this chatbot interface now belongs to the company, now belongs to the general audience, because everything that you can write on these chatbots that are privately owned, this information can be used in the training data, can be used as a source of information for other outputs for someone somewhere else in the world. So really, if you need to work with confidential data for businesses or for research, you can't use closed source models because it goes beyond the confidentiality of the data. Everything will be stolen, everything will be made public. And so you see that in the green part, you have the open source, or more precisely, open weight models. And these are models that you can download for free locally and in a secure environment. And in terms of performance, it's an old benchmark here from mid 2024. You see that open models are highly competitive compared even to closed paid models. So really, no use of closed paid models. So globally, what do we have to do basically? So here I talked about open models. Here it's the graph based on the models that are available on Hugging Face. So Hugging Face is a company based in the US, but founded by two French people, one from HEC, one from X, so a business background founder and an engineering background founder. And here it's a place where everybody's at. So you have Google, NVIDIA, you have also Alibaba, etc. Everybody's there. It's kind of a hub for open AI models. Currently, at the end of 2024, there were about 1 million models, AI-related models, and specifically for large language models, a fifth of it, so around 200,000 models, were mainly about large language models. So why should businesses, academics limit themselves to three main closed source models, Gemini, ChatGPT, Claude, when there exists more than 200,000 large language models? So first things, we need to focus on the diversity of open source models, open weights models. And then it's very easy to just retrieve this kind of models locally because it's very, very secure. It's very easy to download, whether it's in a one click or one Python line of code, to run this kind of models locally. Here you have the most popular LLMs that were downloaded from Hugging Face. So in purple, you have Llama 2 that I will use in my presentation later on, which also was beat by the Mistral AI model by a French company in 2023, early 2024. So here you can follow the trend of most popular AI models and reuse the most popular one at the time. And now we're getting the specialization of the model that we call fine-tuning. What is it about? So you see on the left, you have a pre-trained model. Okay, it can be Llama model, Qwen model, Gemma model. And here, the most important part is it's pre-trained. And you need to fine-tune it. You need to finish the training. So to this pre-trained model, you will feed it, you will fine-tune it with some more data. And in the end, you will have a fine-tuned model, a specialized model that will be used for a specific task. So for example, when I talked about GPT-2 earlier on in this presentation that I used to teach in digital marketing courses, the fine-tuning of GPT-2, what did I do concretely? So with some students, we scraped tweets from the GAFAM, whether they are in the US or in China. We trained them, and you see that to train around 3,000 tweets per account, we see at the bottom that it lasts around 400 seconds with, let's say, a T4 GPU on the free version of Google Colab. So 400 seconds, it's doable. Okay, we're not talking about lots and lots of computations. And with this very basic training, so we use GPT-2 and we feed GPT-2 with the tweets by these companies, we were able to write tweets in the style of. So all these tweets that you see here are purely created by GPT-2. So remember, it's 6 years ago that GPT-2 was released. So generative AI is nothing new at all. And it can, for example, if we look at the Amazon tweet, it can copy the hashtags, the mentions. For Microsoft, it can copy also the humor of Microsoft to write like a fake interaction between you and Microsoft in a funny way. So it was really impressive already 6 years ago, but nobody cared because it was Python based. But here you see the idea that you need to specialize a model based on data, based on previous interaction. I will use another example, not for content generation for social media, but for search engine optimization. There is a paper that I think is very relevant, practice at the end of at the intersection of practice and research. It was a paper published in Marketing Science in 2022, so already 3 years ago. And the working paper was available in 2021 on the Marketing Science Institute website. So here, what is it about? They show in their paper the old way of doing search engine optimization. You need to manually think of the keywords, try to find the best ones with some tools that are not really fit. It was kind of bricolage, actually. And they proposed in their paper a workflow that uses GPT-2, so a free and open source model, which is integrated inside a workflow that is semi-automated. So here you see at the left part, you still have a human trying to select the best words because they know their sector, they know their products, they know their main competitors beforehand. So they select the best keywords. Then these keywords will be used for search queries. Here there will be a Python or code to look for the best URL, the best website that scores on these keywords. And then automatically, the code will retrieve, will scrape all the content from these URLs. So we'll get their HTML code, etc., etc. So what does it do? You retrieve the HTML code for the pages that score high on your keywords. Because in the end, what do we want with SEO is not to be good, it's to be the best. So it will be a benchmark. You retrieve the HTML code of your competitors, and it will be used to be the benchmark. So this HTML code will feed the GPT-2 model, will be used to fine-tune the GPT-2. So at the end of this process, you will have a large language model that can write HTML pages in the style of your competitors for your best keyword. And in the end, you have content selection and output. You will see the LLM producing lots of content, and in the end, the human will select and revise. So here, that's the way to do marketing in the end, and my research project will be based on this kind of workflow. So they also had some empirical results in their paper. So when they compare the SEO of strategy done by novices, quasi-expert in SEO, and real SEO experts, and they compared these batches of human with the workflow that I've just shown the slide before. You see that in a black you have the number of web pages for a given website that appear at the top results for a given query. So even real SEO experts kind of outperform novices, but not so much. Okay, because it's very competitive, because everybody's doing the same thing, basically. But when you compare the human results to the revised machine results, it's day and night. Okay, the revised machine results, you see that they outperform by far the human-based results. So when you semi-automate search engine optimization, you see that it outperforms by far purely human-related results. But you can see here that maybe they don't compare the same website at the beginning. Here it's a between subject design, but the web pages are not the same. So in their paper, they try to implement a within subject design. Okay, they said that we will use a very popular website already and apply our method to an already popular website. And here you see that the first month, the first 30 days, you already have something that is popular. They apply at the end of the first month their semi-automated workflows, and you see that it doubles or even triples after a few days, the performance of something that was already popular. So that's the way to go. Why should we say that we still need human in the loop? We can't automate completely the process because they also did a benchmark with the different way of doing that. If you have only the very basic, just like when you use ChatGPT to do SEO, you have the very generic results. So here you have the GPT-2 basic results, just like you would have with ChatGPT. You see that the way it creates the content is based on lists. On the right, you have the list of the department's task. But maybe that's too generic. Okay, creating lists for SEO is good, but for this category, for this specific keywords, maybe that's not the best way to do that. So when we compare the basic results to the fine-tuned results, only done with the machine, we see with the second column that the performance is higher, and you see the form of the content. Here, what was the best for Google Robots is it was based on titles, on headings, and not on lists. So here you have now headings to structure the web page, which outperform just the list. But you see that we still have some issues if we use only fine-tuned LLM results. For example, for the first heading, it's maintenance support. It's not it's IT, so it should be capitalized. We see that for the second heading, for example, system service and maintenance. You have some hallucination in the result. And that's why they compare to the GPT fine-tuned and revised by human. And you see that IT was corrected, that inside the main text, there was some addition or more precisions, and that they removed the maintenance repetition. So GPT's fine-tuned results outperform basic results, but revised and fine-tuned results outperform purely fine-tuned results. So you still need a human in the loop in the end to have better performance. So globally speaking, the main pillars to use generative AI in a meaningful way for a company is to have efficiency. It means that you need to automate some tasks. Otherwise, just improving the English of your emails, okay, but that's not a business-related issue. You need scalability, okay? If it's just for something that is too small, again, you don't need AI to do that. If you need to automate something that's scalable, you need also to personalize the content, whether it's for customer relationship or this kind of thing. And if you can have the three pillars, okay, you can use generative AI for a business task. So in the end, it's kind of a very fine recommendation between prompt engineering, still the human trying to ask the machine what they want, but also fine-tuning. You need to ask something to a specialized model. And in the end, you need to have good data, so the RAG for that. So it's between human, specialized model, and good data in the end. So where are we going with the generative AI currently? So basically, to have better models, you need better data. And sometimes the heuristic for better data can be to have more data. And more data means more online data that can be scraped or can be stolen by AI models. But we see that the growth of internet users is slowing. By the end of the decade, you see that we will reach an asymptote. So here we have a limitation because when we compare the training of the models, AI models, the more data they have, the better they appear. So what we think was kind of a revolution at the beginning of the decade already reaches its limits by the end of it. So the more data, the more stolen data from the web might not be the best way to train model in the future. So more data can be an illusion. But what about more data not created by humans, but created by the machines? Because in the end, if the humans don't create enough data, maybe the machine can create more data for them. But we see that when machine creates fake data, we call that synthetic data. And when they are trained on synthetic data, we see that they collapse. they become completely dumb. So again, it's not an avenue for training. So maybe if it's not about the data, maybe it's about the infrastructure. We saw at the beginning of the year that the US government wanted to fund what they call the Stargate project. Okay, $500 billion just to train AI and mainly for OpenAI. Because they think that if we have the best infrastructure with the best GPUs, mainly by NVIDIA, maybe we will have better models. The thing is that at the beginning of the year, DeepSeek, which is a Chinese-based financial company, they proved that it's not either. Because China is under an embargo for the best GPUs. So what they did is that they tried to train models on lower performing GPUs, but were still able to optimize the computations on these low performing GPUs. And with this, they were able to outperform other AI models. So what they show is that the better the infrastructure, not the best, you will not have the best result. You need to optimize the computations. And this resulted in NVIDIA's losses in terms of market value by $600 billion. So really, more data is not the way to go. More powerful GPU might not be the best way to go. No, the AI sector, the trend is to work on small language models. And you have lots of small language models, even by the GAFAM, Llama 3, 5.3, Gemma, Mistral, etc. You don't need something that is big to do something that is small. You need to have a very small language model that is specialized on a given small task. And then you need to manage them all inside a meaningful environment. So what's the strength of these small models? So first, they are accessible and affordable. Everybody can download them on their laptop, whether it's for research or for the industry. They are very easy to customize. They are energy efficient. So you see, in terms of responsible use of AI, it ticks the boxes. And also, it will answer the business projects that are done in terms of AI. Here, it's an excerpt from an Amazon documentation. They are trying to say that for a big project, a frontier model, so a big LLM, GPT-5, when it will come out, will not be the best to create, for example, for digital marketing, a website from scratch. You can create a website from scratch with the current solutions, with frontier big LLMs, but it will not be optimized. What we need to do as managers or as scholars teaching LLMs for business is to teach how to decompose a big task in subtasks and to organize this subtask in a workflow. So here we have the bottom part where a manager divided the website creation into subtasks. And for each subtask, you will have a small language model that will be fine-tuned for this subtask specifically. And that's the way to outperform, that's the way to use AI responsibly. So you see, you still need human to decompose. You can ask an LLM to decompose, and etc. But the human oversight is key here. So we have lots of LLMs that are inside workflows, but currently they will only provide an output, whether it's a website, whether it's some text. What is currently trending in 2025 is what we call multi-agent AI. Is this kind of workflow, but where inside the workflow, the LLM will take actions. Okay, not just generate an output, but based on the output it will generate, it will take action and triggers other tools, whether it's a chatbot, whether it's a machine, etc., etc. So multi-agent AI, they are not new at all, just like generative AI is not new at all. It's just that generative AI helps democratize the use of multi-agent that have been everywhere for years or even decades. So that's the trend actually currently. So to summarize the start of this presentation, this big introduction of the principles of responsible AI, is AI is not just about the use, it's about the strategy, how to implement that. So first you need small specialized models. Okay, you need to fine-tune specialized model for a given task. This specialized model should belong to a workflow, and this workflow will be supervised by a human. That's the best way currently, and in the months to come, to do AI responsibly. Now, if I need to apply these big principles to one of my current research projects that is conducted with a master student of mine, Manon Ferreira from Toulouse School of Management, we have this methodological paper about the use of LLM for social media content creation. So AI in social media is increasingly used and will be so until the end of the decade. Here you have some key figures by the business research companies. So based on these figures that AI, whatever will be used in social media management, the idea is how to use that in a meaningful way. So first, regarding the transformation of digital marketing, we see that we need to achieve agility, efficiency, creativity, scalability through automation of content creation. That's the main thing that Wang and Rust are promoting in their AI papers regarding the use of AI for marketing. How can we do that? We need to see that there is currently there is a limitation. So the problem is regarding the content quality and the alignment with the brand voice, the brand goals, etc. And we need to find this very delicate interaction between the human input and the scalability by AI. So how can we achieve that? Maybe what we think is to have something in the middle, maybe to have neural topic models to understand what has been done by humans before, to understand what worked before, in order to create a workflow that is meaningful for companies. So I will dig into this aspect later on. So the idea of using LLMs, it's based mainly on their transform-based architecture that is very relevant for content generation because it can be used for in-context learning. It can be used for its adaptability. And here we will see how we can intertwine all these possibilities for something that is meaningful. So currently, how marketers are using LLMs, they are based on specific prompts, okay? When they want to create some content, you need to go back to the chatbot interface, you need to talk about your brand voice, you need to talk about lots of things in your prompt. And we see that it was a limitation in the introduction of this presentation. To go back to something that is chatbot-based, it lacks integration, etc. So we need to think about the workflow. So here, regarding the meaningful insights, we will use neural topic models, and more specifically, BERT topics. The use of neural topic models go beyond the current limitations by building on what we call the MDIGs, and I will dig into that. So here, BERT topic, what does it do? When we want to understand the trends in social media posts, for example, we need to understand what the account talked about. And here, BERT topic is able to create topic modeling in a more powerful way than previous topic models. And also, you see here kind of an overview of the different topics. And these topics, as they have been interpreted and have been labeled, classified as well by BERT topic. So the BERT topic package, it's a package in Python, can do lots of things, lots of topic modeling, zero-shot, class-based, guided topic modeling, etc., etc. But what I think is also relevant is you have on the bottom left LLM representation. Something that is limited when you use topic modeling. To use algorithm to understand the themes, the topics on a corpus, is you still need to interpret these topics. But in order to go beyond human bias in interpretation, you can ask LLMs to interpret these topics in a meaningful way. If I go back to this figure, you see that these groups of documents, they were interpreted by the LLMs. All the labels that you see here are not human interpreted. They are LLM representations. So I think that this paper is very key for current digital marketing. It has been published in 2022, already more than 2,000 citations. So it's very popular, very impactful. And in this paper, we see that Grutendorf, the author of the package, is showing why it's better than other topic models currently. So when we talk about topic modeling, I've been teaching topic modeling for years now. So you have, for example, latent deregulate allocation. We have lots of research with these methods, even in the industry, it's heavily used. But the limitation of latent deregulate allocation that was published in 2003, so more than 20 years ago already, it's that they are based on bag of words. It creates topics based on words isolated from their context. So we don't want that. We lack what we call the context, so we lack some information, key information. So all the topics created by these algorithms, they are not the best. What we need is to have something that takes into account the context of the words, and that's what we call the embeddings. Current and modern approaches are using these embeddings, so they are using the context the words are related to. What does it mean concretely? So here, for example, you have a figure representation of a corpus based on the package Word2Vec by Google. Word2Vec was the R and Python package created by Google in 2013. So the machine does not understand the meaning of the words, basically, but the machine understands the context the words appear in. So at the bottom left, you have yolks, white, beets. Okay, the machine does not understand the recipe, but it understands the context the words appear in. So based on that, the machine will not understand each word individually, but will understand the words related to other words. So here, in the end, the machine, as we say sometimes, is a stochastic parrot. Okay, the machine does not understand the meaning of the words, but understand probabilistically how the words appear. So the embeddings model, they are kind of probabilistic models of occurrences, if you want. And in this way, you can have images, documents, audio, videos that will be transformed into vectors. That's what the embeddings are. And for example, on the right, you have dots in a vector space. So if we talk about the word red will be close in this vector space on the right, on the embeddings, will be close to anything with a red color. For example, the word red will be close to the Chinese flag, these kind of things. That's the machine will create relationships between different types of data. So if we go back to the topic modeling, the idea of using bare topic is to prepare the finding of the topic, to prepare the topic generation based on the embeddings. Meaning that if a social media post talk about a given topic, the bare topic approach can create the clusters of different posts that talk about the same thing semantically. And that's the way we get the context. And that's the way we have improved and more insightful topics compared to old techniques. And again, this approach is open source. Everything that I'm showing is open source, is really achievable in a responsible way. So when we talk about the embedding models, also on Hugging Face, you have hundreds, thousands of embedding models available. So everything here can be tailored to a specific task in an open way. So you don't need to pay, you don't need to give your data to companies. Okay. So I will try to implement this BERT topic approach with abstract from a French marketing journal, which is called Recherche et Application Marketing. And you will see that it's kind of easy to understand the whole process. And even the Python code is available online because everything is done openly. So first, you need in the Python code to download a free and open source model locally. So here in this example, I'm using the Llama 2 model by Meta. This Llama 2, I will optimize it for the computation. So that's what we call the quantization. And then once I have a quantized LLM, I will customize it. And it's not about being able to program LLMs when you want to customize LLMs. It's really related to business and marketing interest. So for example, at the bottom of my Python code here, I'm inputting values for the top P and for the temperature. Whether it's Python-based or chatbot-based, you need, as marketers, as managers, to manipulate these values. So the top P is, I will not go into details, but it's about the diversity of the vocabulary, the richness of the vocabulary. The temperature is about the creativity of the LLM. So you need to customize that beforehand. So for example, here you have a table summarizing the way you can select the temperature or the top P. If you want to brainstorm, if you want to have lots of insights, you want to have the more diversity possible in the output of an LLM, you will put the temperature at the high level. So you will have a highly creative LLM. You will also put the top P at the high level. You want to have a rich vocabulary. On the contrary, if you want to implement an automated email generator, if you want to implement a chatbot, you will need low temperature. You won't need to have an LLM that is creative. You don't want creativity. Remember the Air Canada chatbot? You don't want your chatbot to be creative. But also, you need your LLM to follow your voice, your brand voice. So you need to keep the top P low. You need to keep the richness of the vocabulary very low because you need to reuse your own main keywords, your own voice in the end. So you see that for a given task, you need to adjust the temperature and the top P. And then, of course, in the process, you will still have some prompts. Of course, you will ask the LLM when it comes to interpret the topics to be a helpful assistant to label topics. You will provide an example, and then the machine will know how to use the content you will give to produce a meaningful output. So here, what I'm wanting to do with this prompt is when I will have the topics out of the beta topic modeling approach, I want it to interpret the topic for me. So I'm giving here some indications. In the end, what do we have? When we interpret the data from the Recherche et Application Marketing abstract that were published in English. So the topic model is just a series, a list of words. It's the column representation. We see as human that this column is meaningless for us. You can have other models, keybird, that will try to find in this list of words the more meaningful words. So that's the keybird column. Still, you need to interpret as a human this list of words. But then I have the Llama 2 model that I downloaded for free and openly for Hugging Face, and that I fine-tuned for its representation, and now will interpret this data for me. For example, the third row is about marketing and advertising effect, because it will interpret the data based on the keywords, plus also on the most representative abstract, the most representative document. So in the end, I'm able to automate the classification of the data, to automate the interpretation of the data, to have less bias. And if I want to have less bias, I can also ask different LLMs to interpret the data and select the best interpretation. Okay, you still have human in the loop. You don't need to automate everything. So I really recommend you this book by Alamar and Grutendorf, who also created the BERT topic package, which is to me the best book regarding the use of LLMs for business related topics in a very easy way, very easy approach, lots of figures to guide you. So to me, that's the way to go. So now if I go back to my process, if I need to think of a meaningful way to create content for social media management. So for a given account, I will need to be able to find what were the meaningful topics for this brand. So I will scrape the data or retrieve the data, the tweets from this Twitter account or TikTok, etc., etc. I will use topic modeling with BERT topic in order to have the best way to identify these themes, what was the brand talking about beforehand. Then, based on the topics that I will find on the data, what I need to find is to find the most engaging topics. So I need to implement an engagement model, a prediction model. So here, since we are trying to predict engagement, we will try to implement the best model possible for engagement prediction. Now, at the step 2, we are able to identify really impactful topics. So these impactful topics, what will I do with them? I will feed an LLM with these impactful topics. So now the LLM will be able to write in the style of the brand to generate impactful topics. So at the end, I will have a human supervising this output. More concretely, we can use a BERT topic, so a neurotopic model, to find the most representative patterns in the data. Once I have the most meaningful topics, I will implement an engagement prediction model. So since we are trying to predict likes, share, comments, these are what we call count data. So it's a very specific kind of data. And so we need to implement what we call a Poisson regression in order to predict this kind of count data. So you see that we will have a regression model at the end. We will then use the fine-tune LLMs for that. What is really important, if you think of the beginning of my presentation, we are not limited to one LLM for the generation. We can fine-tune several LLMs. We can benchmark the output of several LLMs. So we can have here for the fine-tuning Llama, we can have Gemma, Phi, Mistral models, etc. You can have 10 models in order to generate content and not limit to one. And in the end, this fine-tuned LLMs will generate output, and you will be able to refine as humans these outputs. So here is the framework that we propose in this methodological paper. So at the end, you have either a human inputting the tweets, inputting the post from the social media, or you can also automate the scraping of the data. Then you use BERT topic to identify the main topics. These topics, you need to identify the most engaging one. So here you will have a Poisson regression. This Poisson regression will tell you which are the most engaging topics. These engaging topics can identify within the corpus the tweets, the posts that were the most engaging. They are used to feed LLMs. These LLMs will be trained on this most engaging tweets, posts. And in the end, you will have a benchmark here, just Llama 2, Llama 3, but you can imagine 10, 20 LLMs working in parallel to create some content. And then at the end, you will still have a human revising the content. So this workflow that you see here concretely is just a Python script that automates the whole process. You will input a data set, and then the Python script, will automatically generate some content in the end that you need to refine. And this is something that is really easy to implement. You need just to implement it once, and then a marketer can upload the data set and have the results right away. You don't need, once it's implemented, you don't need to know how to code, etc. So this solution answers what I was talking about at the beginning of the presentation. To have performant AI, we have here the efficiency because it will automate the production of content. in a scalable way, because here this solution can be used for several accounts. When we implement the workflow, it can be used for dozens of brands, okay, in a very easy way. And also, in the end, it will be personalized on the specific voice of the brand, on the specific voice that we need to answer complaint management, etc., etc. So it ticks the three boxes that we needed at the beginning. So of course, there are some limitations. So bare topic, for example, is only mainly text-based. In the future, we can adapt very briefly the workflow to have a multimodal topic model, for example, especially when we talk about Instagram, which is based on pictures, images. If we talk about TikTok, which is based on video, we'll need a more multimodal approach. But globally speaking, the workflow will still hold. If you're concerned about this automation of workflows by AI and AI working only isolated without human supervision, I was the guest editor for a special issue on AI in Decision Marketing. It's a French marketing journal published by the French Marketing Association, but they are in English. I invited a colleague of mine, Raoul Kubler from the ESSEC Business School, who is very well versed in natural language processing. And here he talks about interconnected AI working in an isolated loop without human and the risk of it. So it's very insightful regarding the very delicate balance between AI and human oversight. So globally speaking, what I wanted to talk about in this presentation was indeed we can automate some tasks with humans to address creativity, scalability, personalization that's doable in a very mainstream way of AI working. The main idea is that as marketers, we need to think of workflows. Teaching prompt engineering as scholars, we should forget about that. We need to teach about workflows, how to design this kind of workflows, how to have, in the end, impactful campaigns, because the idea is not just to use ChatGPT to have generic results. We want something that is impactful. So we need to think of the way to implement fine-tune LLM inside that. So really the main takeaways, I will remind you the end of the first part of the introduction. It's not AI use. It's not about AI use. It's about AI strategy. It's about how you can combine small specialized models inside workflows that you need to design as humans. Because if you automate everything, even the supervision by AI models, it's about what Raoul Kubler is talking about is in a decision marketing paper. It's the loss of performance, but also the loss of skills for humans, the loss of sense for companies. So thank you very much for attending this seminar. If you have any questions now, I'm ready to answer them.